On May 24th or 25th, depending on your time zone, Saturn, the taskmaster of the zodiac, the planet that helps us to build a solid, sustainable foundation underneath what we value most, Saturn is going to change signs, leaving the deep emotional water sign of Pisces and entering the brand new beginnings, fiery, bold sign of Aries, sparking a fresh start for each and every one of us. This new beginning will call us into action. It could feel like a calling of your soul. It could feel like a hero's journey. And in Saturn fashion, it will require hard work, determination, overcoming obstacles in order to bring it into earthly reality. So in this video, my friend, I am excited to share with you the dates of the Saturn in Aries transit, who will feel this new beginning most intensely in 2025. How can you work with this energy over the next 3-year period with the most ease and grace? And what can you expect from the transit? In part 2 of this video, I will be doing readings for all 12 signs, letting you know in which area of your natal chart you will be experiencing the transit. Listen to your rising sign, sun, and moon for further themes and intuitive messages. And I will be pulling an oracle card for each of the 12 signs as well. But before I dive in, I want to extend a warm welcome to you if you are brand new to the channel. I am so glad you have found us. This is a like-minded community. It is always my intention to empower you through Western tropical astrology. If you want to find your tribe, take a moment right now to tap the subscribe button so you don't miss a video. And a warm welcome back if you've been watching my videos. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. If you have not yet subscribed, please take a moment to tap that button, tap the notification bell as well so you get notified when I upload. Your subscribes make a huge difference. And my friend, I cannot do this without you. I'm Betsy. I'm a psychic astrologer as well as an intuitive life coach and the author of the book, The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering Your Heart's True Calling. I am a full-time professional astrologer. Stay tuned till the end of this video if you'd like to know more about my astrology consultations or my coaching services. I'll tell you more about those at the end, and I also have a free gift for you. So stay tuned till the end to find out what that is and how you can get it. And if you'd like to receive my weekly inspirational astrology updates, the astrology between videos, go to my website, sign up to get my free updates direct to your inbox before they go out to social media, and you will get my free instant download gift right away. Now, a Saturn cycle in any sign lasts about 2.5 years. Saturn will be in Aries from May 24th, 2025 until April 13th of 2028, with the exception of Saturn's retrograde back into Pisces beginning September 1st and going till February 13th of 2026, which is about 6 months, which means we are this year of 2025 in a transitional year. So because we are in this transitional year, it's important to set the context of where we are now before I dive into Saturn in Aries. As many of you know, we have had a conglomerate of energies, planets, points, including the North Node in Pisces, in this deep watery sign for much of 2025. And while Neptune did move into Aries March 30th, we will have a period in which both Neptune and Saturn move back into Pisces before entering Aries for good. Why is this important? It's important because Pisces is the sign of endings, release, letting go. It means that each and every one of us is in a period of letting something go. For you, it could feel like an old self is leaving. It could feel like an old way of being is leaving. It could feel like there's something in your life, a pattern, a dynamic, or something very tangible. It could be a job, a lifestyle. Something is ending. And so we want to be aware that even though Aries is the sign of new beginnings and excitement and passion, 2025 still may feel like you have one foot in your old life, one foot in what's leaving or ending, and one foot in the spark of or anticipation of something new. And so right now you could feel that a change is coming. You could feel excited about something you're being called to, or you could feel restless. You could feel anxious. You could feel like, I think I know what I want, but what is it going to look like? How am I going to get there? And for us as spiritual beings on a human adventure, that not knowing, that uncertainty can make us feel in limbo. It can make us feel wobbly. So I want to acknowledge that. We're going to get there. But right now, especially, there's a certain amount of trust and faith that we're being called to tap into, because sometimes it takes time for our human self to catch up to and acclimate to our soul pulling us in a new direction. So with that context laid out, let's talk about the Saturn cycle and what it means to shift from Pisces to Saturn in Aries. First of all, Saturn transits are significant. Why? Because it takes Saturn 29 and a half years on average to return to the same sign. That means that we have not had Saturn in Aries energy. And again, Aries is fiery, bold, fresh starts, new beginnings, something birthing, renewing within all of us. Saturn has not been here since the period of April 1996 to February 1999. You might want to jot those dates down because I'm going to come back to those at the end of part 1 of this video. Now, from a human perspective, Saturn transits tend not to be the ones that we get all excited about and celebrate. Saturn in traditional astrology is considered a malefic planet. The word mal is in the word malefic, and in French, mal refers to physical pain, suffering, wrong, or evil. Saturn in reality can feel restrictive. It can feel like we're being tested. It can feel heavy. It can feel depressing. Often there's another person that seems to have more authority or power in the situation, and they tell us, you have to follow this rule. You missed a step. You have to go back and do this. Saturn can introduce limitations. It can slow down our progress. It can create delays, or it can just tell us, no, you can't do this. You can't have this. And it has been documented in many psychological studies that the human brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Humans prefer ease and pleasure and immediate gratification. And so any kind of long-term goal that takes hard work, effort, discipline over an extended period of time often feels challenging to our human selves. But here's the other face of Saturn and the truth of Saturn as I see it. Saturn is a builder. Saturn is a mountain climber. Saturn says, so this is your goal, to get to the top of that mountain? Okay, let's do it. Let's create a plan. Let's figure out a system or a process to get to work and get it done. Saturn is associated with commitment, accountability, with grit, making agreements, keeping promises both to yourself and to other people. And Saturn can bring great rewards. It can help us build something that is very anchoring, that puts a solid foundation underneath us, that makes us feel more secure in this earthly life. But at times it can feel like drudgery. I have to acknowledge that. Saturn is associated with the 10th house of career, life purpose expressed, our legacy, and this can include retirement too if you're in that phase of your life. So a lot of times we experience Saturn in a work context or in the context of a project or goal that is going to take a lot of work on our part to accomplish. Saturn is often the energy that we draw on in order to make a dream or a vision, a heart's desire that began in the ethereal realms. Saturn helps us to bring that dream or vision down onto the earthly plane and make it real. And as we begin to transition from Saturn in Pisces to Saturn in Aries, if you're not yet sure, my friend, of what you want to create next in your life, what you most value right now, if you don't have that burning desire yet, you're not yet feeling that Aries passion, you might ask yourself this question. It's a fill in the blank question. My life would feel more authentic and true to me if. And maybe the answer is something you first need to let go of or set a boundary around or walk away from. Because Saturn often requires us to set clear boundaries, to prioritize and protect our passions, and to admit to ourselves and take action on anything that has expired, any soul contracts that have ended, any ideas or dreams that just are we no longer have energy to keep in our lives. Saturn is known as Chronos. It rules time. And so when time is up on something in our lives, a relationship, a situation, a job, a career, a dream, Saturn will let us know. In big picture, Saturn is going to let all of us know what is working in the area of life in which it's transiting, what's working for us right now, and what is no longer working. It helps us to be more efficient, more productive, to simplify our lives, to downsize if that's what would bring us more joy. And the face of Saturn that a lot of us do not acknowledge is Saturn is the wise mentor, the elder, the sage, the teacher. Karmic soul lessons that mature us, that deepen our wisdom. And so whatever happens for each and every one of us during this Saturn and Aries transit, we're going to come away from it stronger, more resilient, and wiser than we were before. So that's Saturn. The sign that Saturn is in flavors the kind of experience we're going to have for the next 3 years. And for a moment, let's step back to where we have been with Saturn and Pisces. Since March of 2023, we have been in the very emotional releasing of past experiences, emotional imprints from past lives, our childhood. Why? Because Pisces is the very last sign of the zodiac. It is associated with the 12th house of endings, and specifically karmic endings, karmic relationships. Pisces is the sign of oneness, the sign of compassion, where we are called to transcend this earthly reality and our egoic states of mind and move into divine love, move into the space of altruism to see from a higher perspective so that we can do that deep emotional healing work. And even if we aren't being altruistic about others, to reclaim the truth of our own innocence, the truth of who we are as pure love. And that's a tall order for a lot of us. Deep emotional healing work, inner child work is often what's called for and what many of us have done since Saturn has been in Pisces. Metaphysical modalities have become more mainstream. The arts have changed significantly since Saturn entered Pisces. The music industry, the film business, Hollywood, huge changes since early 2023. Saturn in Pisces dissolves what is no longer in alignment with our highest soul's trajectory. Pisces energy is also connected to our health. So you could have had a health issue. You could have had a change in your job. You could have had changes in your family. You could have seen something disappear, dissolve. Something could have been deeply disappointing to you. You could have gone through a period of disillusionment or depression. Any of that, as painful as that would have been, my friend, was in the name of releasing an old energetic imprint that you no longer need and that would have hampered you from fully rising, expanding into the next highest vision of who you came here to be. And as I said, many of us are still in that process of letting something wash away with the Pisces ocean, and that may continue. And so we're called to be especially patient with that process and ourselves throughout 2025. Now, what's exciting about Saturn moving into Aries is that Aries is that bursting forth of new life. Aries starts a new season. Like all cardinal signs, all of the cardinal signs jumpstart a season. Aries, of course, jumpstarts spring. The season of spring is renewal and rebirth and starting over, reinventing ourselves, the hope, the optimism, the enthusiasm that whatever is inspiring us now will give us the energy, the motivation, the drive to succeed, to be victorious, to rise to the occasion of something that we may have no idea whether we can succeed at. That's Aries energy. Aries is willing to take a risk to do the thing we think we cannot do. Eleanor Roosevelt, one of my favorite quotes. Because what Aries energy knows and what Saturn in Aries knows is that there is a spark of aliveness that comes from our divinity that nothing, I don't care how much loss you've experienced in your life, that spark of aliveness has the power to bring us fully alive into a new season, perhaps a new season of your life beginning. And if you're not feeling that new spark of aliveness yet, but you're on a spiritual path, you are empathic, you're highly sensitive, you know that you are here on some level, you can feel you're here to contribute. And you may be asking right now, what is my purpose? What am I meant to be doing? This is where I love the quote from Howard Thurman. Don't ask what the world needs, ask what brings you alive, because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. And what I love about Aries energy is that we can not know. We cannot know what we're meant to do next, but in that process of asking the divine, show me, which I share that whole process of what I went through when I was asking, when I left the practice of law and I was asking, what am I meant to do next? This is what I talk about in my book. In that process of asking for help, that's when we begin to get the signs and the synchronicities that show us the way. And it's one step at a time. And another thing I love about Aries energy is we tend to get a feeling in our belly of, I just know I have to take this one step. I just know I need to go here today. I just know that I need to make this call. Aries is connected to the first house of the zodiac, which is the very beginning of all things. It's the self, the roles you want to play in society, in your family, in your profession, your title. I am. What am I? You fill in the blank. I am. What emotion or feeling quality do I want to experience in my life? What is my I am? Listen to your heart. I am. See what your heart gives you for a feeling quality. That is a very good place to start. And remember that your heart always knows, your soul already always knows what you most need now. And we can always go into our body's wisdom to get the answers we need. Aries is also our instinctual needs and desires. It's ruled by Mars, and Mars rules desire. Mars rules our motivation and our drive. And so what you are being called to with Saturn moving into Aries and Neptune already in Aries, what you are being called into will likely change your sense of identity in some way, whether it's a professional identity, a status in a relationship, or simply a way of being within a current relationship, role, or your work. Mars also rules the physical body, so more of us, while Saturn is in Aries, will probably attend to our physical well-being. Don't be surprised if sometime over the next 2.5 to 3 years, you feel ready to pioneer something. You are taking the lead on something. You are called into what feels like a hero's journey or a quest where you are seeking. You're seeking the call of your soul. You're answering the call of your soul. Aries is the Fool in the tarot. The Fool is the zero, the brand new beginning. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm being called to go do this, so I'm going to do it. Now, a few things to be mindful of with Saturn and Aries. There's often a spike in adrenaline because Mars is the ruler. Of course, if we are living too much on adrenaline, it's not healthy for us and we can easily burn out. Also, with Aries energy, we can have a sense of urgency. I should have done this yesterday. I'm behind. I'm late. I have to hurry up and get this done. And that often comes from fear, the fight or flight instinct. I'm hoping that with Saturn and Aries, it's going to slow down that sense of urgency, emergency, that it will require us to be more patient, but that will probably also bring more frustration, more potential anger, more opportunities to deal with conflict. Saturn definitely does teach us patience. Well, if you want to do something entrepreneurial, Saturn and Aries very much supports that. Aries loves to improve itself. Anything to do with self-actualization, anything that feels scary, but you feel very drawn to it and you are ready to take a risk, you're ready to go the extra mile, very much supported with Saturn. Now in Aries energy, we love our freedom and our independence. So something to watch out for is being afraid to ask for help, being overly self-reliant, dysfunctional independence, as my colleague Robert Holden puts it so beautifully. Saturn says, ask for help, get advice from wise mentors, get advice from people who have done something similar, or if not something similar, have taken that unmarked trail. It's not a weakness to get emotional support. Aries people sometimes need to know that, because after all of that hard work that you do to reach your goal, to accomplish what you most want to accomplish during the Saturn and Aries transit, once you get to the top of that mountain, if you haven't brought anyone else along with you for the journey, being at the top could feel quite lonely. Now, who will most feel this Saturn and Aries transit during the first year, 2025? Those of you who have planets or points between 0 and 3 degrees, 0 and 3 degrees of the cardinal signs, that is Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, you will feel this energy most intensely, most personally. Now, some of the other signs will feel the more flowing aspects, which I'm going to speak about in the 12 sign readings. And we will all feel this energy collectively, especially because the Aries point, the 0 point, the very first degree of the zodiac, will be triggered, activated when Saturn first enters Aries. And the Aries point is the world axis point. So globally, we're going to feel this. And often we feel it in the sense of people rising to leadership, some leaders being removed from office or leaving office. Now, I always think it's interesting to go back to the last time that Saturn was in the same sign 29 and a half years ago to get a sense of what was going on then in your life. Again, that was the period of April 1996 until June 1998, and then again from October 1998 to February of 1999. So basically, spring of 1996 to February of 1999. What was going on in your life during that time? Did you have something ignite you? Did you have a burning desire? Did you work hard to bring something to fruition? Keep in mind that we often have a number of different transits going on at the same time, and some of those transits are not happening during this Saturn and Aries transit. So because there were different transits happening at the same time 29 years ago, and because you were a different person then, you have significantly evolved since that time. I think it's helpful to look at the themes, and only the themes that were going on the last time Saturn was in Aries. Because if you had something very difficult happen, or if you had something amazing happen, it doesn't necessarily mean that that thing, the stress of it or the ecstasy of it, is going to repeat itself this time around. So we want to be realistic, Saturn, when we look at the past and just apply the themes. In my May 2025 astrology video, when I briefly touched on this Saturn and Aries transit, I shared that I have Aries in my 10th house of career. So I did have a change in career. I left the practice of law and I began a job, a freelance job doing travel writing. And freelance work is very Aries. And I'd never done travel writing before and I didn't know if I could succeed at it. I was flying by the seat of my pants, and that's very Aries also. But looking back at that time, I also realized that there was another much more significant thing that happened for me as soon as it actually began, as soon as Saturn entered Aries. What was that? Well, I have Aries in my 10th house of career, but my 10th house, like all of our 10th houses, opposes my 4th house of home. And what happened for me when Saturn first entered Aries was I got a burning desire. I mean, it really was. I was very much ignited to change our home in some way, to remodel it. I wanted a room of my own. I wanted an office that was my very own, that I could work quietly. I could do my travel writing without any interruptions from anyone else. And it would be my sanctuary. It would be a room of her own, the title of the famous book. However, we found out very quickly that we wouldn't be able to build onto our home in the way that I wanted to. And so I began to look at other homes, and everything was out of our reach. And then one day I see this property for sale just 4 blocks from our home, a beautiful wooded lot, 2/3 of an acre. I fell instantly in love. And I thought, what if? It was such a pipe dream, Aries. It was such a pipe dream. How could we make this happen? If we couldn't afford a house that was already built, how could we afford to build our own house? It definitely seemed impossible, but I caught fire. I really felt like my heart caught fire. I wanted to know if there was any possible way. And it just so happened that my husband at the time, he worked in construction sales. And he had a builder that he approached, one of his loyal customers, and he approached him and he said, yeah, I will build a house for you on that lot. And we will figure out a way for you to buy that property so that we could make it all work financially. Now remember, Saturn rules karma. That was a huge karmic blessing for us. Karma, in my view, is neutral. It can come through as a blessing. It can come through as a challenge. And to make a long story short, for us, both were very much involved. Saturn often says, you want this dream? You want to build this beautiful house? Go ahead, but there's going to be some sacrifice involved. Our sacrifice, we had to downsize into a teeny tiny apartment with 2 small children, and we were all kind of squished into this tiny space for 8 or 9 months. Not only that, but things came up during that house building process that really challenged our relationship with the builder and required us to set clear boundaries, required us to know, when should we push this? When should we back off? When should we say, no, you promised this and now you're not keeping your promise? You get the idea. It was incredibly stressful. But in the end, we ended up with the home that we wanted. And I was able to do a lot of the design work on the home, on the landscaping, one of the most fulfilling creative projects of my life. So absolutely worth it, but there was Saturn sacrifice involved. There was a Saturn karmic relationship, our relationship to the builder. There was growth, there were lessons, there was wisdom gained when all was said and done. So what happened for you, my friend, when Saturn was in Aries from spring of 1996 to February of 1999? Leave me a comment, let me know, and remember, we're only looking at the themes. Now, I want to do the 12 sign readings, but I need to touch very briefly on 2 notable transits that are happening when Saturn enters Aries. I already noted that Saturn will enter the 0 degree, the Aries point, the world axis. That is the point of pure potential, and Saturn will immediately meet up with Neptune, the planet of our visions and our dreams, and bringing our ethereal fantasy into reality. They will be 1 degree apart when Saturn enters Aries. But February 20th, and this is the key point I want to make here, on February 20th of 2026, this will be an extremely potent conjunction, as we call it in astrology, of Saturn and Neptune meeting up exactly, I believe it's 0 degrees, 44 minutes, right around there. They will be exact when they meet up. And this is symbolic of the dissolving of societal structures in the name of bringing a more supportive and sustainable foundation to a vision, a goal, a dream that each and every one of us has. Different for all of us, but collectively, because we've never ever been here before in our lifetimes, this is the first time that we're having this transit of Neptune and Saturn meeting up in Aries, the very first time in our lifetimes. Because of this, it is almost unimaginable to us what we will experience. But it's Aries energy, so we know that it is an igniting of passion. We know that it is brand new, and we know that Neptune dissolves whatever is no longer in alignment with our vibrational frequency, and that will be part of the process as well. What I find very supportive, and what is something that each and every one of us can find strengthening and comforting, is that because so many of our outer planets are moving this year, changing signs into air and fire signs between July 7th and August 31st, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus will all be in the air and fire signs, harmonizing with one another within an orb of 1 to 3 degrees from July 7th to August 31st. Saturn will be in Aries, Neptune will be in Aries, Pluto will be in Aquarius, Uranus will be in Gemini. They will all be doing a dance of support. And this is very heartening news, especially because Uranus and Gemini, which I have a separate video for you on. I also have a separate video for you on Neptune and Aries, and I have already done a video for you on Saturn and Neptune entering Aries. So a lot of supportive content for you there. But Uranus in Gemini is a consciousness changer, very significant. So considering that all of these outer planets will be harmonizing, this is something that can fuel us with optimism and hope and strength, knowing that we'll be able to tap into this power and that it will be a deep anchor for the change that we are about to move through. Okay, my friend, let us do the 12 sign readings now. Listen to your rising sign. This is the area of your natal chart based on the whole sign house system, in which Saturn in Aries will be transiting your natal astrology chart. You can also listen to your sun sign and your moon sign for additional themes and intuitive messages. And we're going to start with Aries because Aries, Saturn is in your sign. Hello, beautiful Aries. Aries, Saturn is transiting your first house of you. Big picture, this is going to be a full inner makeover based on your heart, based on what is igniting you, based on what is lighting you up. Aries, you are no stranger to motivation, to desire, to following your heart, following the call of your soul. But when you're not motivated, when you aren't feeling passionate about something, when something is over and done for you, you know what that feels like too. It is like game over for you when that is happening. I have Mars in Aries. I know this well. Aries, you are going to be called very likely to a new role. And when I say role, it could be your professional life, it can be your family life, it can be a status in a relationship, it can be where you're releasing a role, you're releasing a relationship. You are being called to follow your own sense of integrity. Integrity meaning the call of your soul. So it could feel like a calling to you. It could feel like some of you may change your appearance. Some of you may be very tapped into your energy levels, your vitality. You may make changes with your physical body. You may decide to change a workout or begin to work out, or, most Aries really need to move their bodies because there is so much energy coursing through an Aries that if you don't have some sort of a workout routine or daily walking or something, it's very hard for your energy field to be balanced. You could experience new karmic relationships coming into your life. And I do not see karmic relationships as bad. They often do bring challenges, but they often do bring a lot of joy and a lot, there's always work involved, but that is part of being on an earthly plane, is that we came here to move through karma. I mean, we came here to transform ourselves on various levels based on the lessons that our souls wanted to transform through, to learn through, to grow through. So Aries, it's happening in your house of you, the first house. I will tell you from my own experience and working with clients that Saturn transits in the first house are some of the most challenging, but they are also some of the ones that we look back on and we say, that's when my life changed for the better. That's when I followed this calling. That's when I said yes to my heart in this way. That's when you could meet a new person too, if you're not in a relationship, or if a relationship is ending, you could begin a new relationship. You could have a stepping stone kind of relationship. What do we say? Relationships are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. We don't know, but we do know that you are deep down most likely going to be asking that question of, who am I now? Some of you could have gone through a spiritual awakening with Saturn in your 12th house. When Saturn moves through our 12th house, that's often a very awakening time for us. And we often do, self-discovery, soul level transformation. So by the time Saturn gets to our first house, we're like, okay, I need to make this real now. I need to put what I've learned about who I am into action. And I need to make the changes in my life that align with who I am now. That's really big picture what is going on for you. So Aries, let me pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say. A very, very impactful time of your life. And very exciting, in my opinion, because this is what you came here for. And you could finally be feeling, if it's been a wait with Saturn in the 12th house, that can be a very internal transit that you've just been through. Very internal, a lot washing away. It could have been quite a dark night of the soul for some of you. And now it's like you're coming through into the light and you're saying, the first house is the house of I'm coming out. I'm coming out into the world. How are you coming out? What do you want to, who's the new you that you want to bring forth? Doesn't mean there won't be challenges. There will be. It is Saturn after all. There will be challenges. Saturn does challenge us. Saturn does bring us situations that we have to set boundaries through. We have to advocate for ourselves. We have to, and often with Saturn in your sign, it can be more challenging than usual to advocate for yourself. So keep that in mind. We can feel like, oh, I really have to move through something to get my needs met, but that's You're still meant to do that, Aries. That's one of the hallmarks of your sign, is to fight, because you have that internal spiritual warrior, that internal fighter, to fight, on a principled level, to fight for what you know is meant for you, your birthright. This is how I see it with Mars and Aries. If I don't advocate for myself, if I don't ask for what I need, then I know later on I'm going to feel like I let myself down. I have to at least know that I've gone the extra mile to try to do everything within my power to get a need met, or to have someone follow through on a commitment they've made to me, that kind of thing. I have to at least know that I've done everything that I could. And then we can't control the other person. We can't control the other people. But as long as I know that I've done what I needed to do, then I can rest at ease, regardless of the outcome. Regardless of the outcome, I can say, I stayed true to myself. And I believe that's what this transit is asking for you. But remember, Aries, it's an exciting new beginning. So now I'm going to pull a card for you. Aries, your card is Rejuvenating Rain, Clear the Past, Heal the Present. I think some of you are still healing the past, clearing the past. I speak about this in part 1 of the video, the transition that we're in, so I'm not going to go into it here, but we are still en route from Saturn in Pisces to Saturn in Aries. And there will be that retrograde period from September to February that Saturn goes back into Aries. So I believe that this card is referring to that. Let yourself receive that rejuvenating rain. Let yourself receive that and have that clearing time, that process, because you are in a healing time, Aries, as Saturn is still in the 12th house. But it is going to be moving you into the freshness of the new air, the new fiery spark, very, very soon. Pisces. Hello, beautiful Pisces. Pisces, you have just been through one of the most intense transformations, I'm guessing, of your life, with Saturn going through your sign. All of you have felt it differently. Some of you have felt it much more intensely than others, because often it depends on what other transits are going on at the same time. If you've been having a Pluto transit, if you've been getting a Uranus transit while Saturn's been in your sign, that intensifies the energy that much more. Well, now you are very shortly going to be moving into Saturn in Aries, which I believe will be a breath of fresh air for you. It's happening for you in your second house of money, earned income specifically. This is the house of I can rely on myself, the second house, the house of self-love, self-worth, deserving. It's the house of material security. We go from the first house of this is my identity, this is who I am. And then in the second house, we put it to work, so to speak. We want to get paid for the effort that we put in. We want to align our life with our values. It's a very material house. It's our possessions. It's the things, the roof over our head, do we have the income to meet our earthly needs in a way that we feel good about our own sense of supporting ourselves, that makes us feel more rooted and secure. That's part of it too. So this is the house in which you are going to be experiencing, I hope, a new spark of aliveness, for some of you, it is a new earned income. It's a promotion or a side gig, or in some way you feeling more confident, more secure in your own gifts, talents, and abilities to earn what you want to earn. Or maybe you are downsizing in some way to align with your values. Maybe you've shifted in some ways and you don't need to have the same income because you're deciding, maybe some of you are deciding to go live, more in alignment with nature, and maybe your expenses won't be as much. So it doesn't have to be now I'm making more money. It could be I'm shifting my priorities and I don't need as much money to live, and I'm going to live a simpler life. It could be that too. All of us will have tests and challenges and new soul friends coming in, new soul contracts, new karmic lessons. That comes with every Saturn transit. but this is a lovely new beginning for you, with coming with the hard work and the challenges that Saturn always brings, designed to bring you into that much more alignment with your own values, with self-worth. And a card just flew out. So this is going to be your card. And I love this so much because the card is infinite abundance. And isn't that so perfect for a second house transit, Pisces? Abundance is pouring into your life. Wow. When Saturn moves into the second house, sometimes it means that we have a temporary decrease in income. That can happen. It can. Saturn can bring contraction. So I do need to acknowledge that. But it can also be where we're building a solid, sustainable foundation, Saturn, for what is most supportive for who we are now. So it can go either way. And what this card is saying is if you can tap into knowing that you are infinite abundance, that you are a blessing to the planet, that you can receive what you give. Often that's a lesson for a lot of us, and especially in Pisces energy, just knowing I do have the ethereal support, the spiritual support to make my ethereal dreams real. When we feel that, when we know that in every cell of our body, we're more likely to be able to experience the abundance pouring into our life. Do it with other people. Many hands make light work. Do it with others. Don't try to do it alone, Pisces. Know that in community, you will experience more abundance and you will thrive. If anything I shared resonates and you want to share, I would love to hear. Leave me a comment in the comments below. Aquarius, Aquarius, beautiful Aquarius. You are going to experience Saturn in Aries in your third house. Your third house is the house of moving and shaking, your local network. It's your mindset and communication. It's learning and growth and writing and speaking, getting together with your neighbors, getting together with people in your local area. Creating a website, some of you, beginning to do freelance work or changing the work you do, starting your own business, some of you. The third house is the house of buying and selling in all of our transactions. And often it is very much equated to the business that we do in some way, shape, or form. Even if you're not working completely on your own, maybe you have a job or you're shifting into some sort of livelihood in which you have more power over your own time, or you're not sitting at a desk anymore. The job of traveling sales is coming to me. Lots of different things. It could be that you are working internationally, some of you, speaking, publishing, teaching, and you're traveling for that. You're giving spiritual workshops, you're doing yoga retreats, in any of these things, because we're really looking at an axis here, the third and ninth house. Why? Because a lot of times when we have a Saturn transit in the third house, it makes aspects to any ninth house energies. And we often feel it on both ends of the third and ninth house in your case, like I described when I told my story of my last Saturn transit, how it affected my career, 10th house, and my 4th house of home and family. Aquarius, are you wanting to change your location? Location of your office, location of where you hang out and socialize, location of where you do anything in your daily life. That could be it too. Do you want to create something tangible in your local area, or something tangible that involves some communication, whether it is speaking, publishing videos, publishing a book, writing a blog, any of those things? Because you're getting a really lovely harmonious aspect from Saturn. Saturn is going to sextile your air energy, Aries fire energy. They dance together. The flames of Aries ignites your air, ignites Aries fire, and so forth. Back and forth. Both of you ignite each other. And this is really great for creating something tangible, an opportunity. Usually with sextiles, we get an opportunity, one or more opportunities. We find a workaround to a problem. We get a solution. And that helps us with any testing that Saturn wants to do. Testing meaning an obstacle, a hurdle we have to go through, something that is stretching and growing us, because all Saturn transits do that. So Aquarius, let me know in the comments if you'd like to share what you want to bring into your life. It could have to do with a change of location. It could have to do with any of the career kinds of things I just mentioned, or it could have to do with uh, a device. You know, maybe you're innovating a device. Maybe you're innovating some sort of transportation. That's the third house too. Or you're buying a new car. You know, sometimes a transit, like a Saturn transit, there are a lot of little things that happen along the way. Saturn wants to help us to have a stronger foundation. And for you, it would be a stronger foundation in your communication. Maybe you're going to create a course, some of you, on communication, like nonviolent communication. Or maybe you're going to create some sort of program, learning program that involves expansion, spiritual expansion, new philosophies, new belief systems. You could change your belief system too with Saturn here. Okay, so Aquarius, let's see what the cards have to say for you. Aquarius, your card is the gates of triumph are opening up for you, Aquarius. Success is expanding in your life. What I love about this card is you are coming through. If you've been through, now Pluto's in your sign. So you could have gone through a period of loss. See these scorched tree branches. You could have felt like you're coming through a fire and you're going into new territory. You're opening up to a new sunlit vista and you are, it feels like the gates of triumph. It feels like winning. That's very Aries. Success expanding in your life. Beautiful Aquarius. If you resonate with this card or anything I shared and you want to share it with all of us, you will inspire us. I would love to hear. Capricorn. Hello, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn, you're going to experience the Saturn and Aries transit in your fourth house of home, family, and childhood conditioning, inner child healing. The fourth house is the very bottom of our chart. It's where we feel our emotions the most deeply, or let's just say quite deeply. It is a foundational point in your chart. And when we have a transit here, it means we're getting a square from the transiting energy. Saturn in Aries is squaring your energy, which means you are going to be feeling some tension, some pressure, some motivation to take action. With squares, we move forward, we take action, we shift, we change. Some of you will be moving your home. Some of you will be working on creating more of a sanctuary in your home, remodeling, you know, redesigning, any of those things. You could be building a house. Like my story that I tell in part 1 of this video, the last Saturn transit for me. You could be feeling like you're tested in a family relationship. A family relationship could be very up for you during this 3-year, 2.5, 3-year period when Saturn is in Aries. 3 years because of the 6-month retrograde. Overall, it will be 2.5 years. You may receive a soul-inspired, very strong burning in your belly. I have to go do this thing, and it could involve that you are, you know, changing, like you're doing a big move. It could be quite a big move for you. You could be changing your career because your career house is across from the fourth house, and sometimes we feel the transit in the opposite house. That happens too. Capricorn, you're ruled by Saturn. Because you're ruled by Saturn, I believe that Saturn transits, well, even though you're getting a square, and that can be a lot of, you know, it's not the easier kind of Saturn transit. Because you're ruled by Saturn, it may be easier for you. You're used to rising to the occasion. You want the next mountain to climb. You are very goal oriented. You are no stranger to pressure, challenges, hard work. Not that you love it, but I mean, you do love the accomplishment, of course. You are an ambitious sign, but it has to be purpose driven for you. You have to be motivated on a purpose level, on a very deep spiritual level. And some of you will do ancestral healing work that falls in the fourth house during this time. And I think many of you are thinking about, or will be, you know, you may not feel this for a while. If you have any planets or points in your sign, if they're in the high degrees, it's going to take a while for Saturn to get there. You may not feel it for a while. Let us see what the cards have to say for you, Capricorn. I'm not afraid of the squares. I feel that when we get the squares, that's often when we have the most momentous things come to fruition in our life. That's when the big things that we look back on and we say that was a huge challenge, but I rose to the occasion, and it was positively, very positively life-changing for me. That's what the more tense aspects tend to bring us, those pivotal turning point life experiences. This is a turning point transit for you. So Capricorn, let us see what the cards have to say. For you, Capricorn, your card is reaching your destination. Your light is shining brightly. I love this card. This card is saying, and interesting how, what is in the circle? It's a castle. It is a home. So cool. I love those synchronicities. This card to me says you're going to reach your destination. We know that, Capricorn. You are not someone to give up. You are not. You will go the distance. You will take the difficult path even, and you will get there. But this is saying, let your light is shining brightly. Let your light take you there. Let the light of the divine guide you. You see the orbs, you see the butterflies, you see what, to me, this looks like a solar eclipse. Let the stars and the ephemeral magic of life assist you. Don't try to do it alone, because your light is what's taking you there. You can do the hard, gritty work, and you will if necessary, but it could be easier if you let the magic of the divine, of your divine source, assist you and take you there more easily, beautiful Capricorn. If you resonate with anything I shared and you would like to share, leave me a comment. I would love to hear. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, beautiful Sagittarius. Sag, you are going to experience Saturn in Aries, fellow fire sign, in your 5th house of joy, pleasure, comforts, the house of inner child delight, the house of your creative, full unbridled creative expression. It is the house of children and parenting, and also the house of true love and romance. What does Saturn in the 5th house do? It helps us to solidify something that our heart deeply, deeply wants to experience on any of those levels and in any of those subject areas that I just mentioned. Saturn helps you put form to a creative project. It helps you put form to a plan to have children. It helps you to maybe, read the parenting book or books that you need to feel better about, to have more calm and peace and harmony in your home, and to feel better about working with the children in your life. Or if you want to work with children professionally, it could help you with that as well. It could help you write that book. It can help you to get out there and date more, or it can help you to make a commitment in a relationship that's in that sort of casual dating mode. That's the 5th house. Saturn will require you to set boundaries. It will bring up places and show us where we aren't being true to ourselves. It will show us where there is a hole in our, or let's say it this way, where we're not in alignment with our own integrity, where we're not looking out for ourselves, where we are making too many sacrifices or too many, we're just not living fully in alignment with our soul's potential. It will show us that. And that's where we have the challenges and the obstacles and the tough, we're navigating new soul contracts with a new Saturn transit. We have new people to meet, new people that we are working through stuff with. But because you are coming out of the Saturn and Pisces transit that squared you, Sag. It squared you. That was tension and pressure. That was a harder Saturn transit. Now you're moving into a Saturn transit in Aries, which trines you, which is the wind at your back, ease and flow. This could be just a nice relief of a Saturn transit for you. What do you want to create? Where do you want to add joy and delight into your life? This is what this transit is asking you, and let us see what the cards have to say. For you, Sag, your card is in the flow. Everything is smooth sailing. I'm laughing at myself. For those of you who don't know me well enough, when I laugh, it's because I'm laughing at myself, and that raises the vibration. And I'm all for the high vibe. I'm all for all of us, attuning to the higher vibration. Everything is smooth sailing. If you have been in winter with Pisces, Saturn and Pisces, which has squared your energy, you are now moving into the flow. If you don't feel like you're in the flow, you're moving into the flow. You're bringing the magic back into your life. Santa's sleigh. Are you ready to let life carry you forward? Beautiful Sag, if you are, claim it in the comments below. Let us know. I would love to hear. Scorpio. Hello, beautiful Scorpio. Scorpio. Your Saturn journey is going to be happening, Saturn and Aries. This journey for you is going to be happening in your 6th house of daily work, your health routines, how you eat, how you move your body, your sleep routines. This is also often our interactions with colleagues, coworkers, bosses. And it really is about what is your daily lifestyle like for you. Saturn says, let us look at these things. Let us look at what's working, what's not working. Let us solidify a plan, a routine that makes you feel good in your body, overall wellness, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of it, physical. This is what Saturn is going to be doing for you. And because it's Aries energy, it wants to spark aliveness for you. It wants to bring a new dream into reality with Saturn coming together with Neptune. And also, though, Saturn coming together with Neptune initially can bring an ending. So if there's something in your work life or in your health that isn't in alignment with you, Scorpio, this is the time that Saturn, Neptune together, especially will want to wash that away while Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces. So are you happy in your lifestyle, in your daily life? Is it fulfilling? Is it sustainable? Is it good for your health? Those are questions that you may be feeling right now. You and Aries have Mars in common. It's your co-ruler, it's Aries ruler, so you have that in common. So the motivation will be there for you. The motivation for you to rise to the challenge of any difficulty that Saturn brings, because Saturn, that's part of Saturn's playbook, is to bring us the challenges, the obstacles, and all of that, so that we can feel that much more proud of ourselves when we get to that destination, whatever your destination is. Let us pull a card for you now, Scorpio, and see your message. Scorpio, your card is trust that there is a divine plan. Do you feel like you've been in a desert passage? Here's the card. What do you sense and feel intuitively when you see this card? When I see this card, I see a lot of gold, which to me is abundance. But desert passages can feel like a dry spell, and on a lot of different levels, right? On any level. And you see these kind of, I guess these are like rocks. These are like, red rocks kind of. There's heat, there's sun. But I also feel a feeling of coming through this narrow passage into a wider vista now. And I feel that there is also a pause here, and you could be in this pause, heart chakra. There's a pause here of tuning into the divine. Years ago, I went on kind of a quest, and I went to a lot of the national parks, and I remember going to Sedona and Moab, Arches National Park, these places that have these incredible arches, and just like waking up at dawn and sitting, and I would just come to tears. I would just come to tears with the spiritual grace of the place, just how uplifting it was. And I get that feeling with this card. I get this feeling this person is looking and feeling the spirit. Sometimes when we do go through a dark night of the soul or a desert passage, sometimes when we take a time out to commune with nature, we realize we have an opening, we have a heart opening. So I feel like some of you are in that heart opening, or you're about to have a heart opening. After all, Saturn and Pisces does trine your energy. So you could be having a heart opening, you could be going through a spiritual awakening, you could be have gone through a dark night or be in one, and this is saying you're going to come through that, but trust the process. Trust the process. Scorpio, if anything I shared resonates, leave me a comment. I would love to hear. Libra. Hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, you are going to be one of the ones who experiences a turning point from this Saturn and Aries transit. Why? Because it is across from you on the zodiac wheel. It opposes you, and that means that you will likely have a turning point in relationships, or in your relationship with your own self. There's something that is waking up in you, or has woken up in you, that says it's time now to work on my partnership. If you have a main partner, person in your life, main romantic partner, marriage, significant other, or a business partner. The seventh house isn't just romantic partners, it's also anyone that's very important to us. Some of you are going to experience, or have already experienced, what I call a reckoning with another person, where you really do, like a come to Jesus moment, where you really do have to face what is the truth of what's in front of you, being fiercely honest with yourself. Can I keep doing this? Is this good for me? Have we changed too much to be able to continue together? You get the idea. Or you're going through your own awakening, or you already have, and it has to do with you rather than with another person. Maybe you have changed tremendously, and now you're trying to figure out what fits in your life, who fits in your life, and who doesn't. Can you continue? Saturn is sustainability. Can I continue this pattern, whatever it is? It could be a relationship dynamic, it could be a pattern of working, it can be a pattern of taking care of yourself or not. The question is, what's working, what's not working? That will be part of this. And Saturn represents karma, so there's new karmic partners, whether they're friendship, platonic, whether they are, any kinds of relationships. Could be a catalyst that comes into your life. Sometimes when we are meant to, and I'm not saying by any means that, some of you are very happy in your relationships, but Libras do have a tendency to overgive, to allow another person to be too conciliatory. We call it people pleasing, right? But that term is so overused. Like, Libras just you want harmony, you want beauty, you want peace. That's what you want. So so without realizing it, those of us, when we are in Libra energy or have strong Libra in our chart, we have a tendency to just keep sort of trying to smooth things over so that you can have that peace and harmony. But this Saturn transit is saying we need to make this a reality for you, Libra. We need to make this harmony a reality in your life. And that's a good news, but sometimes that means cutting ties, setting boundaries, all of those things. So my question for you is, what do you need to feel fulfilled in partnership? What do you need? And I would write that down, and I would envision that. I would feel that in my body. I would begin to experience that on a visceral level, so that if that's not what's in your reality of life right now, you can create that, co-create that with the divine. Let us see what the cards have to say for you, Libra. Libra. Your card is great adventure. Take a risk and venture forward. Wow. Okay, so this could be metaphorical, or this could be actual. Maybe you are taking a new adventure. Maybe you are traveling. Maybe this is metaphorical. This is showing that you are taking the reins of your life. You are standing at the helm of your boat. This is a dragon, which I love because there's fierceness in that. There's courage in that. There's a little bit of serendipity and magic with the dragon. And there is heart chakra energy in the green waters. It's time for you to step forward on the next great adventure of your life, the new chapter of your life, Libra. We just finished out eclipses on the Aries Libra axis. It is time for all Aries Libra people, in my view. If you haven't already started your next chapter, it is time. It is time. Leave me a comment. Let me know. I would love to hear. Virgo. Hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo. You are going to experience Saturn in Aries in your 8th house of power, control, and emotional attachments, the house of transformation, death, and rebirth. A Saturn transit in the 8th house can look very different depending on the other transits that are going on in your chart and just where you are in your life. The 8th house is a relationship house in the sense of what we attach to in relationships: deep intimacy, emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, our sexuality, also our assets, our long-term, where you invest a nest egg, where you create a foundation. It's a financial house, so it's also loans and taxes and debts. It's the house of, where we source material security on a long-term basis. And Saturn is a very long-term, Saturn looks to the long term too. So Saturn here can bring a contraction, where you feel like I'm making less income, or sometimes it's where we're dividing assets with somebody that we're divorcing. But it can also bring a chance to, and a very strong motivation to build assets, to build, like Saturn is like, okay, what's our plan? Like a financial plan, going to a financial planner, or starting to invest if you haven't yet, starting to build. Saturn is a builder. So it could be either of those for you. Saturn is connected to karmic relationships, karmic bonds. It is, this house is ruled by Pluto, which is also associated with karmic kinds of experiences. So during this transit, it's important to be mindful of where you feel powerful, where you feel in your power, and when you feel powerless. And when you do feel powerless, to accept what you can't control, but to figure out where you do have power and make changes and decisions based on your power. Another way of describing this transit for some of you is that you are pursuing some sort of dream or passion, because it's Aries energy, that has to do with your long-term assets. It has to do, for some of you, with buying or selling a home. I already mentioned building up a nest egg. Some of you are thinking about retirement, possibly. When can you retire? Maybe you're looking at a timeline. You're looking at doing those financial calculations. You could be releasing codependence in a relationship. You could be negotiating with somebody, whether it's in business or a partner, around money, around time, energy that you share together, like sharing responsibilities. That could be it too, because Saturn's our responsibilities and our duties. So you could also just be negotiating with another person about that. And when I was shuffling, a card just flipped over. So this is your card, and oh, 2 cards. Okay, we're going to do both cards for you. The first one is crossing bridges. It is time for healing, connecting, mending, and releasing. Do you resonate with being on a bridge right now and crossing over into this new energy? This is what I talked about in part 1 of this video. Many of us are here on this bridge. We are in that Saturn and Pisces washing away, and we are entering Saturn in Aries, but we're not quite there yet. So this is very apropos for where we are now in 2025. And then your second card is navigating by the stars, follow your bliss. If you don't know the way, that's okay. You don't know the way, that's okay, because you have the stars to navigate by. You see all the light in the sky. You are being guided, in other words. You're being guided. And you are being very strongly encouraged to follow your bliss, whatever your bliss is. If you want to claim your bliss, in the comments below, beautiful Virgo, it's time to trust yourself and trust your decisions. And for some of you, if you feel like you're alone, going alone, I have to say Saturn in the 8th house, because it's the house of our emotional attachments, it can make us feel very alone when Saturn transits this house. But that Saturn in the 8th house is a great time to reach out for professional support, whether it's with an accountant, having someone do taxes, whether it's a an astrologer or a coach like myself. Getting the support you need can go a long way to making you realize you're not doing this alone, beautiful Virgo. If anything I shared resonates and you want to comment, I would love to hear. Leo. Hello, beautiful Leo. Leo, you are going to experience your Saturn and Aries transit in your 9th house of expansion. You are getting a trine. A trine is the wind at your back. Aries fire to your fire, Leo. This is very, very beautiful. I had my own 9th house Saturn transit when I moved to Mexico. Just after I moved, transiting Saturn moved into my 9th house. Some of you may be moving to another country. Why? Because the 9th house is new vistas, new horizons, new adventures, long distance travel. If you do any sort of travel like that, Saturn there is saying it's best to make it an experience in which you are learning and growing. That's Saturn. Saturn says, are you growing in wisdom? Are you jumping through enough hoops and hurdles to make this worthwhile? Because Saturn wants us to grow during its transit. So it's usually not the best time, and this is a grand generalization, but it's usually not the best time unless you're doing like a spiritual retreat. But usually we are rewarded by Saturn to do something that is going to require some sort of deep learning. And usually moving to another country requires that, because we have to, if we don't already know the language, we're not already fluent and there's another language spoken, we have to learn that. We have to navigate our way around. If we're moving someplace, we have to get a visa. We have to figure out the residency requirements. We have to jump through hoops. Most of us, when we have a Saturn 9th house transit, we're jumping through some sort of hoops during the process, even if it's trining your energy. You might get an offer, a gift from your trine, blessings that expand you in some way. You could be starting a learning program, metaphysical, learning astrology, getting a PhD, getting a master's degree, working on your own self-development, a spiritual quest, some of you. There's a sense of, I'm finding my passion, I'm learning and growing. Maybe I'm going to take whatever I learn and I'm going to make a profession out of it. That could be true for some of you. Also, you could be publishing, you could be teaching, presenting, anything in which you are sharing a message or sharing your heart, sharing your philosophy, your spiritual energy, any of those things. Okay, I think that I have covered it all. Saturn's helping you to build a solid, sustainable foundation in any of these areas of your life. Let us see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Leo. Leo. Your card is the Mystic Healer. How perfect for the 9th house. It is a spiritual house. It is the house of expansion. This card says healing energy is flowing through you, moving through you. I think a lot of you want to do something, even if it's a side gig, even if it's not for like to support you fully financially. I think a lot of you are ready to feel like you are contributing to the world by allowing the mystic healer energy to flow through you. Some of you are channeling, some of you are doing mediumship work, some of you are doing spiritual coaching, you could be doing Reiki work, I mean, any of the modalities, right? Or you are showing up as God in drag in your corporate job and you are allowing this mystic healing energy to flow through you. Maybe you're taking, extension courses or like any kind of course or gathering with people on, in your free time. And that's awakening you in some way. That's awakening you spiritually. If you want to claim your mystic healer self, let us know in the comments below. Beautiful Leo. Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer, I have my moon and rising in Cancer, and this is going to be a turning point transit for you. Why do I say this? Because all of the cardinal signs are experiencing this transit on an angle of their chart. And when we have a transit on the angle of our chart, it means usually a significant life change in some way, shape, or form. In your 10th house of career, this could be a shift in your career, it could be a shift in your legacy, what you're leaving to others, whether it's information, whether it's your own spiritual vibration, or something tangible, retirement or semi-retirement for some of you, life purpose expressed. Now, the interesting thing about a 10th house Saturn transit is it can go different ways. It can show us what's not working, invariably it will do that. It can be challenging. It can feel like it's a slow, sort of steady plodding along, filled with a lot of hard work. Or it can feel like we're getting recognition, we're reaching a peak in our career. It could be that too. Or it could be some of both. Usually there's new inspiration needed. Why? Because it's a square that you're getting, and squares feel like pressure and tension often, where we need to be motivated to do the hard thing, Saturn. And so you could be feeling that energy. You could be feeling that challenge. You could be feeling challenged for sure. Some of you may decide to retire during this transit if you have the ability to. But, Aries wants to give you a new spark, wants to spark you with new aliveness. And that means that often for Cancers, because Cancers do have the shell on their back, and they do have a certain amount of cautiousness when it comes to change and taking risks. And Aries wants you to take a risk, and yet Cancers don't always want to take a risk. They want to be in their comfort zone. They want their warm blanket and their hot soup and their glass of wine or whatever it is. We're all different in terms of what we love, right? Almond croissants. We all have different things. The chocolate. But the thing is, Cancer, that you are a fellow cardinal sign, and you are a leader in your own right, and you do have a divine purpose to nurture others in some way. And whether it's your own family or whether it's people that feel like soul family to you. So you could be experiencing this either in your home life, like I shared in my story in the first part of this video, or you could be feeling it in career. Sometimes we make a change in both too. You could change your career and your home at the same time. So it's going to be different for everyone. Let us see what the cards have to say for you. I find it very exciting because Aries energy can really spark Cancer people into positive, powerful change. And sometimes we don't make any changes. We don't rise to our potential, right? Without a little bit of a push from the universe. Okay. Cancer. Your card is, this card is saying solitude is exactly what you need right now. In silence, peace prevails. What I'm getting from this card, since we're in this transition as of the time that this video is going live, we are in a transition. As I'm doing this, Saturn is not yet in Aries. It will retrograde back August 31st. Well, it's September 1st of 2025, but will retrograde back into Pisces for 6 whole months. I feel like this is saying, in order to receive that spark of aliveness, that courage to do something different than you've been, because Cancers do love their comfort zone. In order to receive that, you need solitude, to listen to the voice of your soul, to hear the whisper of the divine that is going to spark that new beginning for you. Solitude is going to give you that. Otherwise, it can just be the mind constantly going and you being in your routines and not getting that spiritual inspiration that you need. So if you want to claim your solitude, or you want to claim your inner peace, or that you're receiving that new spark of aliveness, beautiful Cancer, let me know, let us know in the comments below. We would all love to hear. Gemini, hello, beautiful Gemini. Gemini, you are going to experience this transit of Saturn in Aries, which is giving you a sextile, which I'll talk about in a moment. You're going to experience this in your 11th house of hopes, wishes, and dreams, the house of fulfillment, the house of supporters, allies, friendships. The house of social media platforms, where we have a following, if we have a following, where you're putting your message out into the world. This is also where we do promotion and branding and, letting people know what we're up to, where we gather that support that we often need if we're going to move forward. Also, the house of online dating. If online dating is aligned with your integrity and your heart, and you are wanting to bring that kind of love into your life, you are building a solid, sustainable foundation for your new hope, wish, or dream. Do you know what your new hope, wish, or dream is yet, Gemini? If you have planets or points in 0 to 1 degree of your sign, you may be feeling that already, even 2 degrees. The sextile that you're getting is wind in your sails. The sextile is an opportunity, a solution, a workaround. Moving through the challenges that Saturn brings, the karmic, stuff that can come up that we're all meant to go through. That's part of what we signed up for, to be here on this spiritual journey. Sextiles help us get through that with more ease and grace. Less tension, more aliveness, more fun. So Gemini, I am very curious. What do you want right now in your life? Do you feel this? Are you ready? Saturn and Pisces has squared your energy. If you have a lot of energy in your Gemini energy, or any of the mutable signs, you have felt that Saturn. And you could have felt waterlogged. You could have felt heavy emotionally. That's Pisces energy can really make us exhausted. It's really tiring, Pisces energy. I'm not saying Pisces people are. I'm just saying that the more Pisces transits we have, the more we just need more rest. We need more alone time. Now, as we begin to get a taste of, to begin with, Saturn in Aries, that's fire to your air, Gemini, and your air to Aries fire. And that is sparking something. Some of you could have a new romance. 11th house, hope, wish, or dream. It can be a hope, wish, or dream on any level. It's also your financial gains. That could boost your finances too. Or it's Saturn energy. It could be saying we need to redo our finances in some way. We need to change our investments. We need to change something about how we're making money. That could be happening too. I think at the very least, new friends, new networks, new people aligned with you, supporting you, new community is part of what Geminis will experience whenever you're experiencing this Saturn activation. Depends on the degrees of your planets and points. Something, of course, that I can look into for you in an astrology consultation. Let us see what the cards have to say for you. Beautiful gem. Your card is, you can overcome anything, Gemini, overcoming obstacles. Like I said, a Saturn transit is going to be, obstacles are going to be part of every one of our Saturn transits, no matter what we're getting in terms of support. But what I love about this card is, first of all, it's saying, don't let any obstacle get in your way. Don't let the idea, because, gems can get in their minds, right? You can be in your intellect being, I can't do this. I don't know how. I don't know the way. And there's this, there's that, and the other thing. Here's the sword of Gemini air right here in the peach. But the peach is juicy. And the peach is like the lusciousness of what you want to create. And the sword is like, I can open up this peach and eat it. I can enjoy it. I can savor the deliciousness of life. I've got this. There's your the bird. Gem, do you relate to bird? I love birds because with my Gemini energy, it's air energy. Listen to the birds. The birds may have a message for you. Let yourself be out in nature. There's a pathway here. There's a clear path. And there's a lot of lush green in your path, including peach trees. And you have the sword to cut away any thinking, any mindset. This is about mindset and Gemini mindset. Any mindset that is keeping you from thinking you can have what you want. That is something I can really relate to myself. I'll tell you, is the idea that if your mind is not fully saying, I've got this. I know I can have what I want. I know what my dream is. And my mind still doesn't fully know that I can get it. And that's part of this journey. So I love this card for us Geminis. we can overcome anything. If you want to claim that you can overcome anything, beautiful Gemini, leave me a comment. I would love to hear. Taurus, hello, beautiful Taurus. Taurus, you're going to experience Saturn in Aries transiting your 12th house of spiritual awakening. You could feel during the Saturn and Aries transit that you are on a spiritual quest, that you are seeking, that you are doing self-discovery work. You are programming your subconscious mind. You're doing a lot of inner excavation, some of you. The 12th house is also connected to karmic relationships. It can be deeply transformational. You can fall in love with a Saturn transit in your 12th house, and you can go through highs and lows of a deeply emotionally bonding relationship that also is karmic and that brings you a lot of growth in the end. That's just one aspect of this. Whoever you come into contact with is going to take you further on your soul's path. It can be wonderful, wonderful people who are, earth angels who you were meant to meet, that you were meant to expand through. The 12th house is just as much a house of expansion as anything else. It is rest and retreat. It is our mystical self. But it is when we often really align with our soul's path. We break out of a conventional life sometimes with the Saturn transit in the 12th house, and we break through and into a more spiritual life. When I had my 12th house Saturn transit, I started facilitating group meditations out of my home and expressive arts therapy kinds of little workshops I did out of my home. I did a series called Reconnecting with Your Spirit. I did lots of shadow work. I had a lot of realizations. You could have a lot of epiphanies and make changes in your daily life, your lifestyle, your health, because the 12th house is across from the 6th house. So that's often when we do realize we need to change some things up in the way we do our life. You could really, really go on a deep transformational journey with Saturn in your 12th house. Wherever we have Saturn transit, that's where Saturn is saying, I'm going to help you build a solid, sustainable foundation for you. It's your spiritual self and your spiritual life and your connection to the divine, which, by the way, my book is about. My book right there teaches you how to partner with your soul, how to romance your own soul. That's one part of it. I tell a lot of stories in there, personal stories too, about things that I went through so that you know that you're not alone. And I have exercises in there in the book that move you forward on your journey, meditations and so forth. But what I want to say is that the 12th, Saturn in the 12th house can be such a rich time, and a time that you look back on and you say, wow, that's when I really went through a huge period of expansion. So let me pull a card for you now, Taurus, and let's see what the cards have to say. I think I started to say this. I don't know if I finished it. Wherever Saturn is transiting in our chart, that's where we're meant to do the work. Also where we're meant to build a solid, sustainable foundation. So you're doing that on a spiritual level, and you're also meant to really focus on your spiritual self during this transit. Okay, let's see what the cards have to say, Taurus. Your card is keep going forward. Yes, you are ascending the mountain, the metaphorical mountain. It could feel like you are on an uphill climb. Sometimes it feels like we go for a long time before knowing deep inside kind of, where is this leading? Where is this taking me? That's why it's helpful to do it with other people. That's one reason that I started facilitating groups out of my home. I was like, I want to make this real, but I don't know how to. So I'm going to start with people that I know and do it out of my home. And that one thing leads to another, right? So, beautiful Taurus, keep going. Don't give up. You are ascending. Ascension. Took me a minute to get that. You are on an ascension path. That's a 12th house Saturn transit. I love it so much. If you want to claim your ascension, let us know in the comments below. I would love to hear. My beautiful friend, thank you so much for joining me for the Saturn and Aries transit. You can tell I am super excited about it. If you enjoyed this video, thank you for giving it a thumbs up. Thank you for liking this video, for commenting. I love your comments. Your comments are one way that we can all connect in like-minded community. Thank you for sharing this video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for tapping that subscribe button now. Tap the notification bell as well when you subscribe. you help increase the chances that this video will be shared with more people on YouTube, and that helps spread the encouragement and the guidance to others as well. If you'd like to do an astrology consultation with me, go to my website, check out the testimonials that other clients have shared after working with me. There are lots of choices for you: a heart's desire reading, a life purpose, a natal chart. A 90-minute astrology reading will give us more time so I can help do a little coaching with you if you would like that support as well, in addition to your astrology reading. You can also book a clarity coaching session with me. The links to both my coaching and my astrology pages on my website are in the description box below. There's also a link there to my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, for extra support on your journey, perfect for Saturn and Aries. And as promised, I have a free gift for you. That free gift is a soothing guided meditation. It is my intention to connect you to your own spiritual source, to the unconditional love of the divine, to any question that you may be asking now. And to get that free instant download guided meditation, just go to my website, sign up for my free inspirational astrology updates, and you will get that free instant download right away. My beautiful friend, let me know how you are feeling about the Saturn in Aries transit. Any thoughts, any ideas? Leave them in the comments below. Thank you for sharing. And until my next video, I am sending you all my love.